Welcome to Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of Leading the Change. Today we are diving deep into the fashion industry again and look at how a road to sustainability can look like. We will probably talk about questions like, does fast fashion, sustainability and circularity even go together? And many more questions. And to do so, we are very honored. We have again a special guest. We have Sara, who is joining us today. Sara is the founder of Okret, and before doing so, she held various sustainable roles at F&G Group. They exploited labels like CKS, Fred and Ginger, or even the full shoe retailer Brantano. In her latest role, Sara was the sustainable strategic advisor to the corporate management team. And she was also the sustainable manager for Belgium as a country. Before we go into the detail, just for those of you who join us live today, so if you already have a question or during the discussion there are questions arising, please put them into the comments field. And at the end, we reserve again 10 minutes for your questions to Sara directly. So, Sara, very warm welcome and thank you that you are joining us today.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. Sara, you have had, as I said, various sustainable jobs at F&G, and then you decided you found your own company. You want to, of course, leverage all the knowledge. But what really interests me is what is your personal story and what are your personal drives that you say, I want to now really become part of the solution and I want to really put the fashion industry up one ladder that they really become sustainable and circularity. Do you want to share a bit your story with us, please?
Yeah, of course. So my personal story is I am Serbian. I grew up in Serbia in the Balkans. When I was pretty young, I decided to move for various political and economical reasons to search for something a bit more constructive. And that's how I landed in Belgium. I was in a cultural exchange, wanted to get to know the country, got my first internship and my first job here, and that's actually how I stayed. I was working for a couple of years in FNG, started in corporate buying, where my task was really more business oriented, and then sustainability was really not that known in the industry at that moment. There was only a couple of us with that job at that time. So that was also nice because I got to know and to experiment with a lot, to research what this role could be and what my actual job could entail. What drives me in most of that is really the honest belief that we can do better and that it can be better, both on the industry and the personal level. What I like to do most in my job is, as you say, like trying to move the ladder higher, maybe not only one but a couple of steps higher. We don't always manage that, and I don't think one person can change the world, but I really like to try and to inspire people around me to do what we can and what is in our control to be constructive and contribute to a positive change, no matter how small steps. Every step counts. And then when you see your work come to life and you see even the smallest result or on personal or professional level, that's just very satisfying also. And I think, that's the biggest driver, the faith that we are able, if we think it through, to do differently, to rethink our choices, and not to take the common ground on the status quo as the rule, but just constantly question and be curious and experiment. And I think if you open your heart and you open your mind, then the positive change comes. So this is what kind of brings me every day to do what I do.
And I must say,
Thank
your you smile confirms that positive attitude and approach. So that is wonderful, Sarah. So as you you are helping and guiding fashion companies in their transformational journey when it comes to circularity. Can you maybe share with us some of good things, key successes that you've encountered, have been also able to live, as well as some recurring frustration things that you see popping up every time again?
Yeah, it's really a good and tough question. I think if you work in a circular economy in fashion today, your tolerance for frustration either way has to be a bit higher to survive.
Mhm,
Um, that's why I also really try to count all the small successes and to celebrate every good step that we make.
mhm,
Um, whether consulting, working within fashion companies today, or having a startup in circular economy in fashion today, I think it's really not obvious trying to change something in the economy that is not self-sufficient for itself yet. Looking at the business is, of course, the first starting point, and I think that can be very frustrating very often because it's just not as obvious, as it is in business as usual, um, which makes you either want to work even harder for it or very frustrated very often. I try to be the first one. It's not obvious always. The success stories, there is many. I think what I decided for myself at some point is I really want to look at people, who they are behind their professional roles, and who we are as fashion professionals, but mostly as consumers, and how this, what we do, no matter which scale, big or small, improves what we can see around us, the daily life and our surrounding. And I think the success stories come from everything, I don't know, managing to get a fashion company to implement a recycled material in a collection, no matter how banal it sounds, it's very difficult. So every time that happened, it was worth celebrating because it's just not a normal way of working. The designers are not used to it. The company doesn't work that way. So you have to really rethink every step of the process. And really, that's in the rat race that fashion is, and in a really little space that we have in collection development, it's not obvious to make people stop and do different. Every time that happens, I think it's a success because next time they remember it for the next decision. And I think that's the quiet impact that I actually really believe in on the long term, not necessarily a huge success that will bring you, I don't know, a lot of media attention in one time or a great marketing campaign, but really a success that is going to stay on the long term and is going to change the way of working of teams. My personal success, I think it was setting up some collaborations, some 100% circular collection in a very commercial fashion brand, or setting up a secondhand sale in a commercial store or in a commercial fashion company. I think those are really some experiments that maybe even seem small when once they're happening, but
mhm,
what needs to happen before that, qua process optimization and in the company, and how many minds you need to change or challenge on the way, is what I think is really the most important in this transition between the two economies.
mhm,
Small successes can go like getting a message from a consumer or from people around you saying, you really made me think and rethink my shopping habits. This is something I really like hearing. People asking, okay, let me know what I should be reading on care labels, and what should I be buying and what should I not be buying, or oh, I didn't actually end up buying that. I think those are really some loose things when you start piling up, and if you start measuring that impact, that mean a lot, or at least for me, I consider them significant. Frustrations are mostly business wise. There is really little money for what is necessary to be created for a circular economy to be efficient at this point. We lack huge infrastructure to make this impact possible in our lives today, and that's just very frustrating for startups and for innovation, because it makes you think, okay, you think and you probably know how the future will look like and what it will bring. You kind of made an innovative product or a solution, and you managed to even bring it to the market. So that costed already some investments in R&D, but still the market is not getting there, and the reality in the market is completely different. That's just painful, because you know the way we're going to go to, and you can still not do anything. We miss a lot of legislation to get things moving, and you kind of feel powerless a lot of times. I think it asks for a lot of patience and a lot of patience and ability to maintain the long-term vision and this hope that, okay, we will arrive there, even though it's not moving as fast as maybe it should be. Yeah, I think I don't know if I should find like a concrete example of a frustration, but I'm trying like to categorize them. Most of them is the market doesn't have the money for innovation at this point. They are not getting the support they need, and I really believe the solution lies in the legislation. Until then, these silent frustrations will just keep existing.
Yeah. I think what I like is you talked about small steps, and I think it is small steps. It is a journey. It's not a sprint, so small steps count. And I also like that you say your personal success stories is also getting positive feedback from consumers. So that's also, I think, in the end, we do everything for a consumer. So we are very consumer centric, especially in fashion. And I think to build on your frustration, you talked about you need a lot of tolerance, and there is no money. So if you would to build on it, if you would now say, what would it really need from the fashion industry on one part, but you also talked about legislation, because I think fashion industry itself is only moving to a certain extent. But what would you say, what is now really necessary, and really what are concrete actions that are needed from both sides that we can put the level up 1, 2, 3 steps on the ladder?
I think it's a bit a chicken and egg story. You know, we are spinning in this circle where the governments are expecting something from the profit sector or from the companies that they cannot deliver on, because simply they have been working for the past 50 or 100 years or more in a linear way. So I think first, as humans, we need to start listening more, I think. And on the human side, what interests me most and what I think is really peculiar is this fear of the unknown. And I think that's absolutely necessary to be some kind of like put aside or limited and controlled, or given some perspective that things are going to be okay. Even if you dare. I think for companies at this point, it's really not obvious to be among the early adopters, to be investing in something they don't know how it's going to turn out. On the other side, for startups and for innovations, you know, we hear constantly, you need traction in the market to get next investments. You need proven results and profitability to prove yourself and to grow. And I think that's really not obvious. I think it's all connected. We would absolutely need some kind of support and money to start building on the infrastructure, and the infrastructure cannot be built by one player or one side only. I think we really have to start thinking in ecosystems and not in linear commercial ways we are used to. And that asks for a really strong collaboration between the government and, even lobbying groups and policymakers. companies and the profit sector, people who understand the reality inside the profit sector, who understand the profit sector is not protesting the legislation. They are not able to deliver because they don't have the infrastructure and the capacity or the financial means to create this. Because they work in a different business model, we are asking from them now to create a completely new business model inside an existing value chain and maintain their core business and survive. I think the bottom line is we need common sense to start with, and then some kind of a structure and really collaboration, open communication. Maybe the consumer is crucial in the fashion industry, as of course you know. What does this consumer want, and why are they not ready to pay for sustainability, a bit more for sustainability? For me, it's a very interesting question. Who taught us to shop at this space, and what are we looking in fashion more than just clothing? I think we gave a lot of sentimental importance to fashion, or looked for some kind of support role in fashion that maybe fashion should not be having. So there is a lot of factors, but on a practical side, I think we just need the government and the policymakers to kind of make a clear frame so that companies know on where to act first, and then provide some tools to help them get there. On the innovation side, we absolutely need some support to develop and invest in R&D without becoming profitable first, or without reaching traction in the market first. I think it's not realistic to expect. A lot of startups are failing because of this. Because the market doesn't have time to listen to innovation or to invest or experiment with innovation when it's not obligatory, So that's why I think it's all connected. Not to point fingers, but I absolutely think the Green Deal and the sustainability strategy for circular and sustainable textiles should and could change a lot.
And I think that, how shall I say, we are now in the disillusion valley, and this is also an opportunity to redefine in which direction we need to head, because we started to get the first experiences, the first return. Absolutely. So tell me, fashion pop-up, its future. Can you tell us more about it?
The future of fashion pop-up, yes. It was our first big pilot in Antwerp. It is actually our vision and mission to create this hub, the circular hub. We wanted to start in Antwerp, and the pop-up was the first pilot to showcase what the possibilities of such a circular hub in the city could be. The main goal, so what we did, we organized the expo on circular fashion, with a lot of content on what the industry, what the current situation in the industry is, where we are heading to, but most importantly, the role of the consumer in this transition. And we organized various workshops and events during this pop-up to going in really open conversation. The open conversation started with fashion professionals, but we were really focusing on the consumer, inviting the consumer to talk, to let their voice be heard, and to actually start realizing what is stopping the consumer in participating more in the initiatives that already exist, or what would maybe motivate them and make it easier for them to join the initiatives that are coming or that we want to launch on the market. I think this is really crucial to maintain on a regular basis. So that's our plan as well, to make it a yearly event, to grow to Let's Talk Circular Fashion Conference, because the consumer needs to also realize how important their role in this is. There is different calculations on what the impact of the use phase is in the fashion and on the product itself. But more importantly, the consumer needs to feel the community, to feel accepted, not to feel judged, and to have a platform where they can just come with questions and get answers, but also give great ideas. That was the point of it. The future of fashion, I think, at its base is collaboration and two-way communication, not us placing stuff on the market for the consumer to consume, but communicating and getting straight feedback from the consumer before we place on the market, so that it actually makes sense. We are retailers. Our goal is the consumer. So if the consumer is not included, I don't think they can ever be really happy. Most of all, I think all of us, the three of us included, are consumers in our everyday life. So I really like to tackle the personal story behind every professional decision you make. How is this actually mirroring who you are in your private life, what you are doing for the planet, for your kids, for your surrounding, and which kind of responsibility, even if it's a micro step, you can take to contribute to more sustainable fashion, what you're shopping, how you're taking care of your clothes, what are you doing when you don't wear them anymore, do you even know what your possibilities are at end of life for your products, and how important it is that you follow them. I often think, okay, everybody knows we cannot throw clothes in trash, or just like with all the other trash, and then you meet people who never heard about it or who just don't know. We sit too deeply in it because we are in the industry. But every time you go in the conversation with the consumer, you get amazed by how little is known and how much work still there is. So this is kind of the point: maintain the open conversation with the consumers, so we actually get real life information on how to act in a more targeted way, in a more efficient way.
Can I ask a very spontaneous question? Because listening to you, I saw, the when for the smokers, the ones who want to still smoke, there is a picture of what are the consequences. I mean, cancer and etc. Do you think that something? I mean, it just popped up through my head. So maybe the two of you are going to tell me no, Catherine, but because I think it's a lot about education or making us more sensitive to what's as consumers to what is going on. Would types of campaigns like what we had in the cigarette industry also be of some help? I mean,
Exactly.
bringing that to the two of you. I mean, it's a very spontaneous question which is popping up here.
I think that's very normal, and that's some intersectorial knowledge we can take over from other industries. I think that's all it's about. That's how digital product passports gain the popularity they gain now, and the QR code labels became so massively popular, is because the consumer needs to be educated before they make a choice, and Europe considers digital product passports as one of the instruments to make informed choices before buying. So the point is to provide all the information about the origin of that piece, the way it was made, in which working conditions, and anything that might be impactful for that decision, and then let consumer decide with their money what they're gonna be funding. Of course, the campaigns have to go much broader than QR codes on labels. We need a lot of awareness raising actions in general. You have Fashion Revolution that is really actively working on it past years. Last summer, we organized on Love Tomorrow, the Tomorrowland's Sustainability Conference, Fashion Renaissance, where we really put broad campaigns on just awareness raising and the ugly side of the fashion industry, and then hope to get some triggers in the consumer for an honest conversation. That's definitely working. What we have to pay attention with is we cannot make the world depressed or the consumer completely depressed with the facts that we show, because we still have to continue looking for the solution, of course. And the ugly side of fashion is really disturbing at times. So it's about finding the right balance and still remaining, I think, optimistic. That's the challenge, but definitely we need to invest more in these kind of campaigns. Yes.
Yeah, I very much agree with you, Sarah, that I think there is already too much negative information out there. I think now we need to bring also the solutions, the positive thing in consumers, and transparency to consumers, information to consumers. What you said with this fashion hub, engaging with consumers and educating them. I think that's a very great step. So that's really great what you are doing there. So let's a final question from my side. I think part of it you have already touched on. If you would now give, say, 3 concrete tips to any industry professional or to any consumer on what can they concretely do to contribute to a more sustainable fashion or more circular fashion, however you want to look at it?
For a fashion professional, I guess it depends, of course, on their role in the chain. But if I have to summarize the bottom line, I think it was really just stop for a second and use common sense. And I think this now is difficult because companies have to accept they cannot do everything in-house. They will need external help and guidance. I would say figure out a way to permit yourselves that and do it. Get the fastest way to knowledge, to the source of knowledge, and start making a plan for your company. No matter where you're standing, you're still in time if you just start structuring what's already there and get an insight in what's not. I think we definitely lack sustainability managers at the moment, but we're working on it. I think it will be crucial to look closely from a professional side in your supply chain and in the value chain, figure out where do you make most negative impact at the moment and how can you limit that. I guess that's in production, but as we say now, indeed, a lot is also in marketing and awareness raising. Try implementing that step by step in your budgets and in your strategies. I think that's the most realistic advice that I can give to professionals now. To the consumers, I think, well, there is one question before shopping. Think if you can wear a piece 30 times. I think that's, again, a cliche question, but I realize a lot of people still don't know it. Really rethink your shopping choices would be the first one. Do you really need that, and do you need to keep shopping in that tempo? If you need, then think just what are you going to do it when you don't need it anymore, and how do you keep the materials in circulation? Read the labels, think about what you're buying, what you're using it for. If the function makes sense, it's still okay, I think, to buy. We are not going to stop consuming fashion. We just have to become more mindful in the way of consuming. I think slowing down maybe is the crucial word actually.
Yeah, I like that. I think you touched on before, very small. I think I was reading some paragraph or some article where you said shopping is a very emotional topic, and people try to celebrate, or if they want to celebrate, they want to make themselves a gift and buy. And yes, it is like that, but always, I fully agree with you. Always ask yourself the question, do I really need the thing, or don't I already have one thing? And yeah, if I have to buy, maybe then buy a product that you can really wear for longer. I think that's, although not everyone can, of course, afford it, but there is good quality already out there that, not the fast fashion gowns where when you wear it once, it's falling apart. So I think that's true. Yes.
The TikTok, Instagram generations and has definitely an impact on the speed of consuming fashion, especially young people. Selfies, you cannot wear the same thing when you do your selfies. What would you recommend to them?
Oh, go rent your outfits then. I don't know. I would really go for renting then. Like, we have great rental initiatives throughout Europe already. And I think that's what I talk about. I don't believe in changing people's mindset as quickly as seasons and fashion is changing. So then we can just switch in this way of needing to own stuff that we can only use once, or we are only going to use once. So just look for alternatives, even if it's secondhand shopping or renting. There is alternatives to feed this need to have new. I really understand this need, and I think people will continue having this need for years to come. We just have to figure out, okay, if the situation is like this, how can we solve it otherwise, other than buying new? But the TikTok generation, I mean, I to be honest, I don't understand it clearly myself quite yet. So I don't know if they're gonna accept my advice.
Yeah, I mean that is. I mean, it is. This is a challenge, and I think, well, we could ask young people to make challenges who get the most likes with the same outfit. Wearing the same outfits, doing some selfies and videos. Thank you so much. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Catherine, do you see? I just looked. I cannot see any questions that popped up,
No,
but maybe
no,
it is my technique.
I have seen no questions neither. It might be a consequence that last time we had some technical issues streaming it directly. But anyway, I mean, we know that many people are watching it afterwards. So, I mean, your voice will not get lost in the ocean or the sea of fast fashion, if I may say so.
Yeah, and if there's questions afterwards, you can always send them through. I will be happy to answer.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And maybe there are no questions because Sara was so clear, so she answered everything which people had on their minds.
Absolutely.
No,
Absolutely.
anyway, I think as you said, so Sara, thank you very much for being with us. I think it was, for me, it was, inspiring seeing you, how you laugh and how you're passionate about how you act, and you rightly said, okay, look, we need the drive, we can change it, and everyone can change it. And I think hopefully it was good insights for the people watching. What we do afterwards, we will also put, I think, the website of Sara, and I think if people have any questions, put it in the comments, but you can also connect with Sara via LinkedIn and put questions out there. I think that's great. But so far, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And see you next time.
Yes.
See you
Thank you
soon.
so much. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.